Being able to move people and produce from one point to another is critical to development. The ease with which farm produce can move from the fields to the consumers can determine the sustainability of a farm. Likewise, being able to take an injured person from a scene of an accident to a hospital can determine whether that person survives or not. They all depend on proper infrastructure. It is in the context of national development, therefore, that the government has unfolded a massive infrastructural development program. On Guyana 411 for this week, we look at what is being done and the plans to upgrade the country's infrastructure. I am Shivani Rampersad. Stay tuned. Guyana's topography ranges from flat coastland to sandy hills to forested mountains. Often traveling from one part of the country to another can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you need to transport goods. This has led to some of the areas being underdeveloped and its people forced to live in poverty. In its effort to eradicate poverty, the coalition government is working to ensure that persons in the hinterlands can be connected to the coastline and that movement of goods and services become easier. Recognizing that traveling to the interior areas through the channels that currently exist can be very burdensome and costly, the coalition government has crafted a comprehensive plan to transform the infrastructural network, primarily in the hinterland. In the 2015 national budget, over $600 million was budgeted for this.
We are going to do certain roads. I mean, Linden, Kokwani, we're trying to get to that. Some of the trails being Peruni. That's one of the areas where the miners have complained that it's in a poor state. We're going to get there, and certain villages in 1, 2, 7, I think 8 and 9, we're going to get there to do work as possible. I've given my team an instruction. I don't want any patchwork. I don't want any cheap work. It's no use us trying to do a thin layer of something to stretch it all the way. We've got to build a solid structure. Next year, if we only can do half the road, at least the commuters have a very good first half. Next year, we will get to the other half. So therefore, we're not going to try and stretch the money to make it work. We're actually going to do something so therefore it could last during my term. I don't want to be going back in. Every year there's a Lethem Road, and every year the rainy season, people come and complain. We're going to do it in phases to ensure that, and eventually that we would have something worthwhile.
The government is also hoping to make all ports of entry semi-internationalized.
We intend to have, in due course, every regional administrative center as a port of entry. For example, Bartik is a port of entry, Lethem is a port of entry. Mabaruma, I'm not quite sure what is the legal status, but I would prefer to have Mabaruma as a port of entry. I know that at the Mabaruma Aerodrome, once I was there and one person was talking Russian, another was talking French, another was talking Spanish. So a lot of people enter through those ports of entry. And yes, I intend that every regional administrative center should be a port of entry, which means that people can get their passports, people can enter and do business.
Emphasis will also be placed on developing the various airstrips, making it easier for aircraft to get in and out of the communities. As such, $79.5 million has been allocated for the rehabilitation of all hinterland airstrips. A task force was set up by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure to engage the various regional administrations on their infrastructural development needs. This will allow for priority areas to be addressed immediately. $50 million was allocated for the provision of studies into the Guyana-Brazil land transport link and a deepwater port, and $20 million for the provision of a Corentyne River Bridge access. These two projects, when completed along with the other network initiatives, will see hinterland communities from the Pacaraimers having direct access to far-flung communities.
We envisage bridging the Demerara, a new fixed structure in the Demerara. We're talking about a new road, a roadway connecting from Sand Hill, going all the way to linking back up with that same Parika Goshen Road. It's all nice virgin land. We're talking about Molson Creek to Oriala to Molson Creek work. We're talking about redevelopment of Stellings. I mean, I have a proposal which I'm going to send to cabinet, and about redevelopment of both the Freedom Hoop and the Georgetown Stelling. I mean, that is prime land, prime commercial land. What we're supposed to be doing is not just anchoring ships there. We're supposed to be doing in any other country that have been riverside property with commercial venues and those things like that. I have a proposal. As you see it now, it's not the final thing. It should. I have a proposal on doing some boardwalks in the seawalls area. You know what I mean, which is both will help with our sea defense work, as well as make a space for people on Sundays. You know what I mean. So therefore, I mean, it's done. It's quite easily done. So 2020, we should have a transformed city and a transformed country.
Works will also be carried out on the Chedijagan International Airport as well as the Ogle Airport. Guyana could be said to have more than a fair share of rivers and waterways. For the people living in these communities, getting goods and produce to and from the coastline is critical, and very often the easiest way is by ferry vessels.
Government's vision for Guyana is one that will see complete transformation in every sector with a target of every community. Currently, significant emphasis is being placed on improving the services provided by the ferries that traverse the rivers of Guyana, taking passengers, goods and services to the various parts of the country. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure will also be embarking on rehabilitation works for the Bartica, Leg 1 and Parika Stellings. This is expected to cost a total of $76 million. For the Bartica Stelling, $30 million worth of rehabilitation is planned. Major works will include a change of decking, fixing of piles and upgrades to the office and washroom areas. The next phase of the rehabilitation of the Bartica Stelling is scheduled to commence next year.
We're talking about redevelopment of Stellings. I mean, I have a proposal which I'm going to send to cabinet, and about redevelopment of both the Freedom Hoop and the Georgetown Stelling. I mean, that is prime land, prime commercial land. What we're supposed to be doing is not just anchoring ships there. We're supposed to be doing in any other country that have been riverside property with commercial venues and those things like that. I have a proposal. As you see it now, it's not the final thing. It should. I have a proposal on doing some boardwalks in the seawalls area. You know what I mean, which is both will help with our sea defense work, as well as make a space for people on Sundays, you know what I mean? So therefore, I mean, it's done. It's quite easily done.
For the Leg 1 Stelling, maintenance work will be conducted on the driveway, decking, beams, and some piles. The fender system will also be rehabilitated. The total cost for the Leg 1 Stelling rehabilitation is pegged at $24 million. Meanwhile, the Parika Stelling is slated to undergo approximately $22 million worth of rehabilitation. Amongst its work are repairs to the roll-on and roll-off area and the fortification of the catwalk. The dilapidated area will not be a part of this phase. Rather, this area will be tackled early next year as part of the next phase. In its quest to provide quality and safe service to the Guyanese public, the Transport and Harbours Department under the Ministry of Public Infrastructure has undertaken repair works to motor vessels Kimbia and Sandaka.
With respects to the superstructure, we plan on doing major works. With respects to the navigational aids also, we will try to outfit it with the modern equipment, and that's basically it. We plan on taking safety. We pay a lot of emphasis on the safety, being that the vessel is it operates out at sea basically. So in a nutshell, that's about it for the docking. You have to take into consideration the fact that we providing a service to the general pop, right? And the vessel has been out of service for some time. So this fix, it just wouldn't be a fast fix, right? Even though the vessel is old, but we think it's somewhat feasible.
The rehabilitation of MV Kimbia was completed at a cost of $107 million. The vessel, which plies the Georgetown to Kumaka Region 1 route, had docking and rehabilitation work done to its hull, onboard machinery, and underwater fittings along with other repairs. It is now back in service. Meanwhile, the estimated repairs cost for MV Sandaka is $33 million. The vessel, which plies the Leg 1 to Parika route, is expected to undergo general docking as well as repairs to its superstructure, underwater fittings, hull, machinery, and other areas. The fleet of ferry vessels owned by the Transport and Harbors Department comprised 9 motor vessels, 6 of which range in age from 15 to 55 years.
Because much of Guyana's coastline lies below sea level, at high tides, the government must be careful in the maintenance of canals and cokers. This is also critical to Guyana's commercial capital and the seat of government. Since its ascension into office in May 2015, the coalition government has been aggressively tackling the overall drainage and irrigation system in Guyana. Through the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, drains, canals, cokers, and sluices have been desilted, rehabilitated, and where needed, new outfall channels created. In an effort to provide an all-inclusive approach to better manage these very important infrastructure, a task force was established to oversee the operations and overall functions of the drainage system.
The interventions that we're doing now cannot stop flooding in Georgetown. The interventions that we're doing now is to try to minimize it in the sense of the length of time that the water stays on in the residents in the area. The current system is geared to take off 100 mm or say 2.5 inches in 24 hours. And that's if it's working perfectly. Everyone knows it is not working perfectly. But what we're doing is interventions to ensure that in the minimum possible time that this existing system can accommodate, we will get the water, remove the water off of the flooded areas.
Major emphasis was placed on the Georgetown drainage system since this area is more prone to flood at high tide and during the rainy season. Of 79 kilometers of main drains leading from Cummins Lodge to Agricola, 32.2 kilometers were desilted. These drains lead to 13 sluices that drain the city. These works were done through a collaborative effort with the Georgetown Mayor and City Council and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. The business community and residents of the respective communities in and around Georgetown also joined in the cleanup effort. Drains and alleyways in the communities were cleared.
The work that has been done, both the emergency services that have been rendered and the ongoing maintenance, have yielded tremendous success. Because if you go around the city, you'll recognize, even though we haven't had torrential downpours, you'll recognize that the speed and efficiency with which the water is running off the land and running out of the canals through the sluices, as well as the efficiency in relation to the secondary and tertiary drains leading into the primary canals, that alone attests to the fact that it's been a success story.
All of the outfall channels were desilted, with major works being done to the Sussex, Lamaha, and Cummins Street outfalls to ensure they are functioning at expected capacity. Additionally, over $21 million was approved by Cabinet for the creation of a diversion channel and a timber revetment along the Meadowbank outfalls in Georgetown. A sluice at Waterloo Leg 1 will be built to the tune of $38.9 million. Pumps will be installed at the Windsor Forest and Canals No. 1 polder that will cost $16.3 million, while a sluice under construction at the Baggersfield will cost over $65 million. These structures are in Regions 3. In Region 5, a sluice will be built at Prophet Abari to the tune of over $145 million.
The system had deteriorated or has deteriorated over the years, and the length of time it took for us to drain the water off. And if I remember well, it took us about 3 days. 3 days, a total of 72 hours in order to have. And even after that, we still had isolated areas that were very low that suffered longer periods of the inundation. Arising out of that, the minister had mandated that we look carefully at the system and to take the critical areas for rehabilitation. We did that, and we came up with a program of desilting outfalls, drains, and inlet channels to sluices with a total of $75 million Guyana dollars.
As it relates to Siem River Defense, a $35.471 million contract was awarded for the Rip Rapper River Defense at Spring Garden, Essequibo Coast. At Road and Ross East Bank, Essequibo, the sum of $31 million will be expended on a slope protection work. Government remains firm in its efforts to ensure that the country's drainage and irrigation systems are cleared and maintained to avoid flooding and disruption of citizens' lives and safeguard crops and livestock.
Also on the coastline, the government is not only placing attention on moving people, goods and services from one end to the other, but it is also looking at developing a transportation network that links the coast to the hinterland.
One of my goals is I just don't go and do a street, I do a whole community, and obviously we take that and just put that in a text box and maybe it out, and hopefully you do it correctly lasts for 5 years.
Indeed, the new coalition government has a master plan for the creation of quality infrastructure in the country. In the past, the focus was on reconstruction and or upgrading the existing assets, with not much attention being paid to planning for new infrastructural facilities. However, the new government has a structured and integrated approach to public infrastructure development, and it articulates facilitating communication and creating linkages between Guyana's hemispheric neighbors on the one hand and between the coast and the hinterland regions on the other.
My government's idea is not no more piecemeal works. No, we used to call them wait for 10 election works because it's so rushed and it's so unplanned. We want to actually have value for money, so therefore obviously it will be initially a bit more costly in the sense that the Madia roads we budgeted 300 odd million in it, 300 something million dollars, but obviously it's be done such a way that we don't have to go back to Madia again, and that is the idea. That's the idea of what we want to do. So where you do it, get out, do it, get out. So therefore that allows us to touch everywhere more sustainable fashion.
Within the context of this structured and integrated approach, the coalition government has set out the construction of several new main road links, particularly a road linking the country's 2 international airports and the linking of the city and coastland to the new townships of Bartica, Madia and Lethem. These interventions will not only ease congestion and reduce travel time, but create improved road linkage and further open new opportunities to exploit the country's resources. For instance, the bypass road linking Diamond East Bank Demerara to Ogle East Coast Demerara will open up unutilized lands to support a modern housing scheme for 1,100 households, while it will create jobs for Guyanese. It will also as well establish a more efficient link between the country's 2 international airports.
That project now falls under my ministry. The last update which I received a couple of weeks ago is that it is, I think it has been approved already. What is the status is that in the first, we have to do a full report and tender documents and those. The government of India will select a few firms in England, in India, and send it to this ministry for us to they were shortlisted and they sent it for us to make a finding for the consultancy of the feasibility and the preliminary designs for that road, and then obviously we go to tender and it will be constructed. So the line of credit has been approved. So when we receive the shortlist of contractors who will be from India, because it's Indian Exim Bank funding, we will select one and they will proceed and we will get it done.
And since development of the hinterland area is critical for growth and poverty reduction, especially for the residents given the high priority placed by the coalition government on equitable development, focuses as well on improving hinterland connectivity and accessibility. To this end, in addition to targeting the construction of all-weather roads in regions 7 and 9 and upgrading the main access roads in the 4 newly gazetted towns of Bartica, Madia, Lethem and Mabaruma, recent interventions in this line include the undertaking of studies which will lead ultimately to the construction of the Linden-Lethem Road.
The internal road networks has to be upgraded. I think there's a contract out for the roads in Madia right now. And from Madia, we will most likely be moving to Lethem, because I have an asphalt plant right now working in Linden, the mobile asphalt plant that I mentioned, and we most likely move from here in Linden and then to Bartica. than to the other towns.
Meanwhile, a road from Brazil to Guyana is being contemplated, one that is accessible all year round, thereby opening opportunities for trade with the vast untapped markets of Brazil and South America overall.
Since taking office, the new coalition government has cited the need for holistic communities and a better life for all Guyanese. They've embarked on a program to improve existing communities and improve the old ones. Old ones such as Sapphire, which has morphed from a squatting area into a more modernized community. For example, roads and lights are being installed in this area. We spoke to some of the residents about their take on the works being undertaken by the government. The Sapphire community is finally having much needed infrastructural works done. These will see the completion of several major roadways and cross streets, the installation of street lights and an improved potable water supply.
Well, that's good, because I had to take off my two vehicles off the road just because of the road. Because look at the way down the park up. Because instead of gaining, you're losing. If we say that man bringing a $30,000 again, you have to spend 60 with the 30, so it makes no sense, Just make no sense. Because you're getting the earnings back. You're spending, but you ain't getting. So if you ain't getting, it make no sense, you do no business. Well, now we see the road doing, we're going to start doing a driving back when school closed because I see the road doing. So that's it,
The roads need doing a very long time now. It's very bad. Some of the roads that the cross street that's going in is bad. And the heavy trucks on the main road here destroy the main road. The main road was a little good, but the heavy trucks and buildings putting up, it destroyed the main road. So it's got vehicles dodging from one end to the other end, and it's dangerous. Look, I was just coming down the road in a car, see a hole and dodge almost in front of me. I had to pull in the corner just to pass. But I need this time that people in authority look into Sapphire and do something about the roads. The roads, very bad. When rainfall, buses can't go in to take passengers in and they have to let them out and they can't carry them to their homes, so they got to walk and them kind of thing. The road is bad, real bad. And I think they should come in and check it and they would see for themselves how bad these roads is.
So far, the new improvement is doing a great lot. And, assisting the people to get a better living. Because the lights in, the road in, you get to go in and out freely, come back in freely. You know what I mean? And your vehicles would last more long. But in the other government, they do nothing. You get what I mean? When you come here and the rainfall, you got to divert to another road. So now you see you got the road, now you could come straight in. And I like the effort with the new government is doing.
I would be thankful if the new government could finish the road down at the back, because I'm an owner of a vehicle from last Friday to now, and I would like to work the bus in the field. But as you see, you could stop up to that corner there. More down, you can't go down. So I would glad if they could do the road and around Red Road, this next road here, between D field and C field. So if they could get it do, we would thankful for it, because the road never do under the PPP or who. It never do. And at the end here, we have a play field. The children have to play on the road. I have 4 sons and 1 daughter. So if they could help us, so if they bring the stuff, we would work to do the play field for the children.
Among those especially grateful for the improvements to the community's roadways are transportation providers. Some of them spoke with Gino.
We're glad for upgrade, because there's a community and the communities want upliftment, So this is where we're looking for upliftment, especially for the school children and the working class people in the area. Guys forget to work. Some bus, when the road bad, bus and one go down at the back.
We need roads and lights right in there. If you only recognize a man to come and rob you when he reach in front of you. Because unless he reach in front of you, you can see it. Then the place is dark, very dark. So the lights on the road will be very good for us.
The Minister of Public Infrastructure, David Patterson, has disclosed that the entire ring road around Sapphire will be addressed, saying that, quote, from Dennis Street, A Field, the entire perimeter road and cross streets will all be fixed with A specification roads.
In addition, 8 new bridges linking all of the fields in the community, as well as another linking the Sophia area to Guyhawk Park, will be constructed. For years, residents of the rapidly expanding community have called for major infrastructural improvements. These calls increased after Sophia was regularized. Some issues besides a lack of proper all-weather roads still persist, with many residents still fearful of traversing the community after nightfall. Electricity theft and a dearth of recreational facilities such as adequate health centers, playgrounds, and more are lacking. Several schools, including nursery, primary, a special needs school, and a center for children with disabilities, have been constructed over the years. A community library in B Field, a health clinic, and a police station are also present to serve the residents. And recently, several places of worship and a multi-million-dollar storehouse for the BPAT group of companies was also opened.
Sophia is just one of the many communities where government intends to spend millions of dollars to improve the lives of residents. For Guyana 411, Paul McAdam reporting.
The government's plan to strengthen the infrastructure, linking communities all across Guyana, will result in more economic opportunities as more land is opened up and it becomes easier to transport goods and services from one end of the country to the other. It all ties into a better life for all Guyanese. Thank you for watching Guyana 411. I'm Shivani Rampasad. Take care.